Hi, it is the Human Operating System time. This channel is for education and technology. So today I have a good chat with a close friend. And I found out that there is a potential disaster if we do not map Wing Chun or traditional Chinese martial art into sports science properly. And that is why I like to share with you today that we need to avoid this issue, or else we were going to create another disaster like the Chinese cultural revolutions. Okay? Instead of we be able to map what is the ancient Wing Chun or traditional Chinese martial art or Qigong into today's sports science, we are going to causing more confusion and taking the sports science as the ultimate truth, which is itself is another type of problem and another type of superstitious. You see, when people say scientifically this is so and so, the scientific study this is so and so, without specific, that is no different than saying that this mantra be able to solve this, that mantra be able to solve that. So that need to be avoided. Science, the name of science can be a mantra also. It can be superstitious. It is as bad as the mantra belief or mantra superstitious. So let's go. So when we want to map traditional Chinese martial art, Qigong or Wing Chun into sports science, the first thing we need to do is be specific when mapped into science. Be specific. We need to know what it is we are talking about instead of disrupt it or adding something else or adding something we think. Science is a tool. Science is a tool to use for analysis and better descriptions. So when we map the ancient arts into science, we are using science to analyze so that we know what is it, what is the content. So that is what we want. Okay, so we need to know what are we talking about instead of using science as a judge or the God's law, because there's a off topic already. Okay, we are talking about, we analyze something. Like if this is a material, we analyze the material. We don't want to say, according to the science, this material is not existence, whatever. Well, whatever exists is reality. Okay, disregard of what you talk about science according to this expert or that expert. Okay, so be careful, be specific on what are we analyzing, what are we presenting. Science is just a tool. Now the second thing is know the definitions of the scientific term. Say we talk about momentum. We know exactly momentum is mass multiplied by velocity. That's it. Instead of we talk about momentum and we have no idea what momentum is, and we call it scientific because we use a term called momentum, but what is momentum? Nobody knows what it is. We don't want to be like that. And also stay in topic. If we talk about a certain thing, stay within that topic, not get out into generalizations and so forth. Then we mess up the whole thing. Because when you go generalized, then everybody can argue. Argue is right, argue is wrong, but it's off topic. Okay? So, let's give you an example so that you can see what happened. A few days ago or last week, I shared the first part of Wing Chun short strike body mechanic development. Okay? So, in that video, and the video is explaining to it, there's the breathing and the dynamic mobility. Okay, so the Wing Chun short strike body mechanic development, the first is the first part is the what do you call it, the breathing, and then the dynamic mobility. Okay, so there's the thing, the basic, which is the fundamental, okay, the foundations. You have to have the breathing and the dynamic motions. Okay, you can watch my video on that. Now I further define or explain that this dynamic mobility is actually based on the mobility and stability of human body. Mobility and stability of human body. Okay? And also I further explain and describe that dynamic mobility has two parts, which is the warm-up and stretching. And warm-up is with the definitions, okay? The definition warm-up is increased blood flow to the muscle, okay? And the stretching is increase the flexibility and increase joint range of motion. So this is what it is, okay? And then I even give an example of the Wing Chun ring. Okay? So, that is be specific. The topic is the Wing Chun short strike body mechanics. And within this topic, there's the breathing and the dynamic mobility. And so what is dynamic mobility? Or in today's language, is about the mobility and stability of different parts of body. And then this dynamic mobility, it has the warm up and the stretching part. And then making an example of Wing Chun ring. So you stay just that because it is specific. Okay? And now, of course, we need to know in modern science what does warm up mean, what does stretching mean. That's why I defined it here, right? So that's it. That's what it is. Now, what we don't want is instead of looking into this and start to get into the generalized stretching. Generalize what is stretching in a generalization way, or the generalizations of what is the proper stretching and improper stretching. When we talk about generalized stretching or generalized proper improper stretching, that is belongs to the tools part. That is not presenting what actually the Chinese do. What is the Wing Chun short strike do? It's no longer that, it is something else. Okay? And if we lost in here and if we are using this now, we get off topic, we're using this and try to use it as the God's law to judge things, where we have already missed the topic. We get generalized, we talk about science, but we are off topic already. Then we already lost the topic, lost the specific, get to the generalized. That is off topic already. And if we get off topic like that, after a few discussions or debating or argument, then you don't see this anymore. We don't even know what is this anymore. We are actually argue on this thing. It's like the movie Back to School by Rodney Dangerfield. When Ronnie asked the professor, "Oh, you want to make a product? What product?" And the professor said something like widget. So he said, "What is widget?" Okay. Then the professor said, "Well, make tape recorder." Then Ronnie said, "Hey, you make tape recorder. How are you going to compete with the Japanese?" Well, that is, tape recorder is specific. Widgets, it doesn't matter. That is the general stuff. Okay, so when we map things, we need to get into here. We need first to know what is the topic, what is the Chinese is doing. And then we apply the tools to see what it is. Instead of don't see what is the Chinese doing, don't see what is being talking about, and then we go keeping going the general stretching, general proper or improper stretching stuff, and then using that as what everybody need to learn, instead of getting into this Wing Chun short strike body mechanics. So if we do that, get the generalization like that, at the end we do not learn about the ancient traditional Chinese practice anymore. We learn about the tools. So do we want to learn about the tools, or we want to learn about what is the ancient Chinese practice? So for me, I raised up all this for past so many years. Mapping into the science is using the tools to analyze, to know, to be able to present in today's language what it is. But I'm not saying that everything has to be based on the sport science. Okay. Now, the traditional Chinese martial art practice, it is different than today's people's in sports science thinking, where there's a warm up, you need to do warm up, you need to do stretching this way, this way, this way, according to the sports science. It is a different stuff. The traditional Chinese martial art practice is a hybrid. Warm up and stretching is a hybrid. So it is not like hey, you need to follow what the Western sports science do. You need to stretch this way, or you need to do this warm up this way. You don't use that to dictate that, because the Chinese have a different system, which is a hybrid of warm up and stretching. Say the 8 brocades, the 八段锦. Well, tell me, is that a warm up or is that stretching? Well, it is a hybrid. Whatever practice slow and soft, it is a hybrid warm up and stretching. So it is very different than the Western. If we think about stretching, then stretching is stretching. This warm up is warm up. No, the Chinese been doing that for thousands of years. Also, the Shaolin Yi Jing Jing. What is that? That is the hybrid. The Ermei snake slide warm move, which is in the Shulin Tao. What is that? That is the warm up, the hybrid of warm up and stretching. Okay. So we don't want to say, okay, according to Western science, you need to warm up first before stretching. You look at the people who practice the 八段锦, 8 brocade, or snake slide warm move, or 小脸头. Do you need to warm up first? So this has to be careful. So back to the beginning, I said we are using tools to study. Like if we have a rock from the mass, we want to study what is the element within the rock of the mass. We don't say that according to our earth people, it has to be this way, this way, this way. We don't say that. We just say, okay, this is the rock. What is it? Instead of according to our earth humans rule, or the earth where we stay, this is impossible. So again, if you look at the 8 brocades or Yi Jing Jing or the 峨眉12桩 snake like warm move, then well, tell me, is that warm up or is that stretching? If you say that, oh, warm up will not improve your joints, then how come those people practice Yi Jing Jing and so forth, it be able to improve their joint range of motions and be able to warm up? Okay, so this is to share with you. Okay, let's not get into this. When we talk this, get into the argument of the general stretching or general proper or improper of stretching. So again, like for example, if I take another example, if I take the 8 brocades, the 八段锦, then let's not argue about, oh, in general, you cannot stretch before you warm up. And warm up will not be able to improve the range of the joints. What are you talking about? The Chinese have been doing that, and it can rehab and helping a lot of people for thousands of years. So this is a hybrid. This is not according to what the Western science today is talking about in terms of classifications. Okay? So bottom line is we use it as a tools to see what it is. We don't use the Western sports science to judge this is proper, this is improper. Well, first we need to know what is what. But usually we don't. We just judge based on a certain thing before even we know what it is. So there is problem. Okay? So know what it is first. Know what is the specific. And then look into it. Analyze it with the tools. Instead of you don't look into what it is, you don't know what it is, and then you start to coding the sports science. Then you're missing the point. Because at the end of you coding all this sports science stuff, you don't see what it is anymore. You just see what you think. It is not what it is. It's like when you get a rock from the Mars, instead of we analyze it, being objective, analyze what it is or how this thing works, and then using the tools what we have, we start sitting around, we just say, oh, we need to, this rock ought to be this way. This rock have to be this way, that way, according to what we study in school. What is from us is not from your school. Okay? So this is another thing, another problem which I foresee today. That's why I decide to share with you this. Be careful. In any traditional Chinese martial art, unless you know it, you train with it, you develop it, Do not judge it, because you don't know what it is. Okay? Once you know it, you experience it, you'll be able to use the tools, the scientific tools, to analyze it, to tell what it is, and you can even improve it. But before you know it, before you experience it, if we start to speculate with our what it should be and what it should not be, then that is disaster. So I'm the first one who mapped Wing Chun into sport science. And here I am today. I say this because I want to avoid you just tip another side of the scale. Everybody go on the other side. Okay, one is this side, one side say, well, the ancient Chinese know everything. You Westerner and the Western sports science have no idea what it is. That's another part of disaster. And another part is you ancient Chinese doesn't know anything. Everything has to accord to the sports science. Okay, so we don't want to tip on this. We need to know what it is. We need to get the topic. Okay,